Whenever people talk about the fall of the Roman Empire in the Italian peninsula and the western parts of Europe, they simply think that the Romans disappeared in 476. Poof, nobody knows what happened to them, but that's not really the case. The Romans were still there after the collapse of the Western Roman Empire. They just had different administrations, let's say. And today we'll be covering the Papal States. I really want to talk about the Papal States' inception and how exactly it played one of the major roles, politically speaking, within the European continent for more than a millennia, and I think to a certain extent it still plays that role today, the role of either negotiator or figurehead for certain individuals around our communities. After the fall of the Roman Empire in nominally 476, but that is debatable by the way, what happened was the Ostrogoths and the Visigoths established themselves in the Italian peninsula. Well, the Ostrogoths established themselves in the Italian peninsula and the Visigoths in the Spanish Iberian Peninsula, but they didn't call themselves that, by the way. They just called themselves the Goths, and we call them Austro-Visigoths because it's Eastern Goths and Western Goths, basically, to make it easier to understand when talking about which Goths where. That being said, the Ostrogoths in the Italian Peninsula did not stick around for too long. They were challenged by the Eastern Roman Empire, with the Eastern Romans sending their famous general Belisarius, which retook most of the Italian Peninsula and established the Exarchate of Ravenna as well as the Duchy of Rome, both of which were of course under the command of the Eastern Roman Empire. They were subdivisions of the Eastern Roman Empire. There was a lot of contention in the Italian peninsula. The Goths, the Lombards later down the line did fight the Romans, and around 751 if I'm not mistaken, or 750 something, the Lombards did manage to take away all of the provinces that the Exarchate of Ravenna had, with the Duchy of Rome being completely isolated from the Eastern Roman Empire, which it was technically a part of as Eastern Roman holding within the Italian peninsula. But within this holding of the Duchy of Rome, the papacy, as we call it today, or the church state, the state of the church, which is more accurate actually to call it, did exert a huge amount of influence. Later down, within 756 if I'm not mistaken, what happened was the Franks defeated the Lombards, and they took over the territories of the Exarchate of Ravenna that were previously domains of the Eastern Romans, and they gave these domains to the church. This is known as the donations of Pepin, who at the time was the leader of the Franks, and afterwards Charlemagne, the famous Charlemagne, also gave more lands to the state of the church, meaning that they didn't have control only over the Duchy of Rome, but they also had control over the Exarchate of Ravenna's previous provinces. This is pretty much considered by most modern historians as the start of the Papal States as we know it in 756, when the Exarchate of Ravenna, which is technically this strip of land that you see here, was merged with the Duchy of Rome, both of which gave way to a proper state. Well, I don't know if I should even call it a state, but it was lands owned by the church directly, let's say. Now in 1444, the Papal States did exert a huge amount of influence all around Europe, pretty much in order to become a leader wherever, be it in the English lands, be it in the French lands, be it in the Germanic lands. If you wanted to be king or emperor or whatever, you had to get the blessing of the Pope, and that's why the Papal States were one of the richest states around Europe at the time, the Pope himself and the church having insane wealth and influence. Now within our game here, EU4, we do start as a fairly strong nation, despite having only a few provinces here and having two vassals, namely Urbino and Perugia. We also have the breakaway provinces here of Avignon, which is, by the way, not needed to have a fort here, so we're gonna disband that bad boy over there. Technically, we also should have the enclave of Benevento, which should be around here, if I'm not mistaken, in the Neapolitan lands. And that leads me to my first query here, namely the fact that in the very early part of the year campaign, you have two options. You can either attack the Venetians here and get back the Ravenna province, which you have a core on, and this war is fairly easy, but there's a high chance that the Neapolitans become independent, and when that happens, we get our own CB to attack the Neapolitans, and if we are at war with the Venetians, we might not have time to enforce that CB, so I guess it's a little bit RNG. First, let's do our initial phase here. Let's get our rivals. We're gonna go with the classic rivals, of course, Florence, #1, Provence, and I also am gonna get the Venetians as my third rival people. Even though they might like me, I don't like them very much. Of course, we're also going to give out the +1 mana privilege for all 3 of the estates. We start with 50% crownlands, so it's actually super easy as the Papal States to get the +1 mana points because you don't get any debuffs. You don't get the autonomy debuff since you have already 20% crownlands, and we can even get more than that. We can seize an extra 5% crownlands, so we start with 25% crownlands. And it looks like we have a mission to recover Ravenna. Okay, that is actually pretty good. We're also going to give out a few more privileges, including the advisor cost reduction. I do recommend you give out the advisor cost reduction privilege after you get 1 stability because it does increase your overall stability cost modifier. I'm doing it now because I know myself and I will 100% forget to give this privilege out if I don't give it now. But if you want to min-max your game, yeah, it's better to wait until you get 1 stability and give it afterward. Also going to get the religious diplomat since we want the extra 25 relations with all Catholic nations in Europe, and that's pretty much everybody in Europe if we don't count the Balkans, right, and Eastern Europe. Strong duchies obviously is a really great privilege to give out since it offers a liberty desire reduction and diplo relation slot, and we can only give this out because we have 2 vassals at the very beginning, Perugia and Urbino, as I was mentioning earlier. Once we start integrating them, we can also give the nobility integration policy so we don't get the -3 diplo rep hit from integrating them, and so we make it a little bit faster as well. Take note, guys, we do start as the Holy See Curia controller, meaning we get all these juicy bonuses, amongst which aggressive expansion impact -20% is a big freaking deal, boys. Tech cost reduction, advisor cost reduction, extra diplomats, and so on. We want to maintain our Holy See, so always keep an eye out on this and make sure you have the highest chance of becoming the next Curia controller whenever that's going to be an option. Also going to give out the private trade fleets because we are going to be relying on our trade a little bit. We have control and, well, we're going to have complete dominion over both the Venetian and the Genoese trade nodes. These 2 trade nodes are insanely powerful. The Genoese one, for example, can be much stronger than the English Channel node, and it starts as a little bit of a stronger node, 13.8 compared to the 13.4 that the English Channel has at the very beginning. Check it out. We only paid 0.5 ducats to maintain our advisors because of the Curia controller and because of the privilege. We essentially have 45% cheaper advisors from the very first day. Our mission tree is also quite significant. We will get a lot of permanent modifiers from this and various bonuses that we can make use of. A really easy one to get is the Form the Swiss Guard, for which we essentially just need to get relations with the Swiss people here, so we can get an alliance. That's going to make it super easy. There you go. We can get an alliance from day 1. Once we send them a gift or something like that, we can get that 100 relations, and we can get the Swiss Guard, which are a special unit that the Pope have that are way cheaper than regular mercenaries and better. Okay, so let's get 3 allies with Catholic nations first so we get that mission established. We got the Swiss. Wait for 1 more day so we can get another ally, and that would be the actual Austrians. Don't mind that. Austria, the Emperor of the HRE, is always a good option to get as an alliance. And I don't mind Ferrara. They might actually be of help against the Venetians in the initial war. Let's see. That means we can do this mission. We got 100 diplo power from the get-go. Beautiful. I'm gonna start improving relations with the Lithuanians so I get the Eastern Catholicism mission done as well now at the start whilst I still can, because it's a fairly easy mission to do. We're also gonna select the Christiana Pietas Golden Bull, which offers an extra 5% dev cost reduction, so whenever we want to develop provinces, it's a little bit cheaper, and this affects all Catholic nations around the world, meaning everyone's going to develop their countries a little bit cheaper now because of this particular Golden Bull. And since we want to make our fellow Catholics' life a little bit easier, I'm going to be calling for a crusade against the Moroccans. Maybe the Castilians or the Portuguese are going to try and attack them. Alternatively, you could do it on Granada once they have their truces over with it, or the Ottomans, but realistically speaking, no one's going to be attacking the Ottomans anytime soon. At least none of the Catholic nations will. Also sent a scornful insult to Florence, and I'm going to be embargoing my rivals, so I increase a little bit my power projection, which means I get a little bit of extra morale of armies and global trade power. Alright, so we got a little bit of bad RNG because the Venetians allied with the Aragonese. Even though we excommunicated them, they still allied Aragon, so we cannot really push into them right now. We'll wait for the Aragonese to lose the union over Naples and push for Naples when that happens. We also managed to get 100 relations with the Swiss so we can form the Swiss Guard. Apparently, the Swiss Guard does not cost any army tradition when we hire them, so we don't need to slack in recruitment in order to hire the Swiss Guard. But let's go ahead and do that right now then. Boom shakalaki. Wait, no. Where is the Swiss Guard? We need to wait for a day or something. Where's my Swiss Guard, bro? I think I need to wait for a month. Yep, I did need to wait for a month. Now we should be able to recruit them. There you go. It says Swiss Guard, 0.77 ducats. It's actually a little bit more expensive than the free company, but it does give you an extra 2.5 discipline, so that's a pretty big benefit. benefit, and it also has a general, so obviously it's a lot better than the free company. Just one regular free loan. And let's get the Swiss guards in our army now. I'm also improving relations with the Austrians because I plan on joining the HRE. I need to have 141 relations in order to join the HRE. That will give me access to the HRE reform bonuses and the protection of the emperor. So of course it is really smart to do it. The sooner the better. I'm also going to set up the trade edict over in my capital state, since it's going to give me a little bit more of income from the initial trade node, the Genoese trade node. Hey, look at that, because we got 50% manpower and 100% force limit. We can actually get a general with 60 tradition. Let's see what kind of a chat lord we just got. Holy snap, 4 freaking siege. That is massive, dude. All right, let's assign this bad boy in charge of our main army here, and let's build a few extra light ships. We want to get at least 10 light ships overall. You know what, I'm gonna just get the burger loans. We need money, and the burger loans are 1% loans. It's essentially like not having any loans. We're gonna pay the 4%er, and boom shakalaki, let's get going, boys. Let's get our fleet on the high seas, as they say. Granted, I know nobody says that, but just don't think about it too much, okay? All right, boys, time to join the HRE. Now let's check the beautiful map. Oh my lord, we are absolutely glorious, aren't we? Now, whenever the HRE gets the first reform here, we will be getting dev cost reduction and construction cost reduction. So that's going to be of huge help, especially if we want to do a little bit of a playing toll, let's say. And we just stabbed up once. This way, we're going to get our passive prosperity growth in our provinces. Prosperity is absolutely vital, and you need to get 1 stability in order for prosperity to grow. Once you reach 100% in your state with prosperity, you get dev cost reduction, goods produced, and autonomy change reduction. So it is absolutely amazing having these modifiers in any of your states. Take note though, you're gonna get raided by pirates a lot, so you're gonna need to lower the devastation. The easiest way to do it is either have a truce with the pirates so they cannot raid you, or have a fort that lowers the devastation really fast, or whenever you have the building available, you can also just build the coastal defenses that blocks the province from getting raided, but that can be a little bit expensive, so it depends on your particular playthrough, really. I'm gonna pull a sneaky Romanian, and I'm gonna assign myself a cardinal. Yeah, boys, yep, that's right. We did the corruption, but it's fine. It's just 0.5 corruption to get that cardinal, so it's gonna be fairly easy to get rid of this particular corruption. Oh, dude, we get a 50% cheaper advisor. Hails to the yeah. Check it out. This guy costs 0.28 monthly to maintain, bro. What? Oh my lord, I absolutely love this, man. We're gonna make this bad boy level 2 just because it's just super cheap to maintain him, you know. 1 ducat for a level 2 advisor, when most countries right now are paying 1 ducat for a level 1 advisor. Hey, we just got the Sistine Chapel that offers us a lot of devotion. One of these staples of the Vatican City and, well, the Papal States, the Sistine Chapel, that's for sure. I've also had pretty tough RNG. These guys are still a PU of freaking Aragon. Question is, should I attack Florence? Because I managed to get claims on them via my vassals here. You do that by making this vital interest land from your diplomatic feedback, and then your vassals or subjects will get claims, which is what they did here. But the problem is that if I attack them now and then Naples becomes independent whilst I'm at war with Florence, then it's going to be an issue, right? So it's a little bit of a gamble, I guess. But I also don't like just sitting around doing nothing. I will attack him on the 1st of 1450 if the event doesn't trigger in Naples. Oh my lord, Naples refuses to submit. The King of Naples, Ferrando I, refused to follow his father's footsteps and submit to the Holy See. That means we're going to be getting our subjugation CB on them for 50 years, and we're gonna be enforcing that bad boy. All right now, boys. All right now. Let's go. Let's get our little bit of a Schnippeldorp in Napoli. We just need to get the capital, and that's it. Then we can enforce this CB. Let me actually check how much that would be aggressive expansion wise. It would be 64 aggressive expansion. Oh my lord. It's fine. We literally are getting half of Italy, so it's totally worth it, boys. And I just realized I probably could have waited until I grabbed another 5% crownlands in 11 days. Bruh. I'm not the brightest, that's for sure. I'm definitely not the brightest here. It's turned into pretty much a stalemate, whether they can take Rome first or we can take Napoli first, but we're already at 57%. And, oh, that's nice. We got Saint performs miracles. Amazing. This run is turning into an amazing run. 247 days and we got that bad boy. That means we can enforce our demands or not. Looks like we actually might have to siege down a few more provinces, I guess. Let's try again. Now we are actually able to enforce. All right, 148, 140. Can we get some money from them too? We can get 72 ducats. I love it, my boys. I love it. Look at our little Smagogadog, Naples. We are essentially half of the Italian peninsula from the very freaking get-go. We are 6 years in the campaign. We already have half of the peninsula. That's pretty freaking good, isn't it, boys? And we got 17,000 units from our vassal that we're gonna use later. We need to make these boys a little bit more loyal. They're not really that loyal right now. I feel like it's gonna be an issue keeping these guys under control, but I'm gonna placate these two nations until I integrate them, of course. And it looks like I might need to improve relations with them as well because of my aggressive expansion. Okay, fair enough. Totally worth it though. Getting this insane start with the Neapolitan lands makes everything so much easier. And don't worry about keeping them in check. It's not as hard as it seems at first glance. As a second government reform, I highly recommend you go for the extra merchant and global trade power. It is going to be of huge help to filter in more trade within the Genoese trade node. Well, there goes the last of my ducats, guys. I'm also in the process of integrating both of my initial vassals, so once that's done, the Neapolitans are going to be significantly more loyal. We also gave out the nobility policy integration as soon as we started integrating these guys to make it a little bit faster, obviously. Oh, we can pay off their debt. Well, that lowered their liberty desire a little bit, and the best part is that we can also start our war against the Venetians because they are at war with the Ottomans, so they're definitely going to be losing most of their army in that particular engagement. What on earth happened here, boys? Looks like Portugal managed to snake their way and take a lot of Castilian provinces, not just Moroccan lands. Oh boy, I feel like this is definitely going to be cucking the Castilians a little bit in the early bit of the campaign, isn't it? Well, the time is here, boys. Look at that. Nobody is joining in to help the Venetians, meaning that it's going to be a piece of cake, abso schnapadoop cake for me to take Ravenna, and maybe a couple other provinces around the Venetian lands, let's say. I love seeing these defeated Venetian troops just recouping over in these lands in Verona, which I will be attacking after I take Treviso, obviously. The war was fairly easy for obvious reasons. The Ottomans basically took care of most of the Venetian army, but they will take Spalato. I'm not really interested in that too much. I kind of want to take the Venetian capital, Venice, in my personal peace deal here, or Verona Padova if I cannot take Venice. I should be able to take Venice. I just need to destroy their fleet, so I have to get my own admiral here, and I have to have really good RNG when it comes to the battle against the Venetian fleet. Okay, we're actually winning the battle, but the problem is that the Ottomans have their army right next to me, so I have to be careful. I'm gonna put this on speed 3. The moment that I'm able to, I have to rush for this province before the Ottomans rush for the province. There you go. Okay, we might be able to make it there unless they have a really high maneuver general, which they do actually. No, our general's faster. All right, so we're gonna get there on the 12th. They're getting on the 15th. All right, we're good, boys. We're gonna take lead of the siege, hopefully. Whew! All right, that was a super close situation right there, boys, and we are leader of the siege. Amazing. There you go. We got Venice, boys. We got absolutely the best city in the Italian peninsula, Venice, which has by itself 30 trade power in the Venetian node. It has a level 3 trade port. It's going to be downgraded to level 2 once we take it, but still, and it has 27 development. So Venice and Milan are obviously the best provinces to take in Italy. The sooner you take them, the more money you're going to make out of them, of course. Now, idea-wise, boys, I went for Divine Ideas for a couple of reasons. Divine Ideas is a military idea set, but it actually is a little bit balanced. It offers dev cost reduction and devotion, fire damage received, leader cost and reduce war exhaustion cost, morale of armies, culture conversion cost reduction, unrest, manpower plus 20% in Catholic provinces. So it is truly an amazing idea set to have early on in the campaign, as it helps with both the military aspect as well as with everything else aspect of your country. And we need that divine idea, not only for the divine idea themselves, but also the policy here. We get trade efficiency with trade ideas, which we will be going for eventually, core creation cost, and years of separatism reduction when we mix this in with economic, which again will we be going for eventually as well, and a lot of other amazing policies that we need in our particular campaign. Now let's do this peace deal before they completely crush our fleet. What the F? I guess we gotta reinforce. Yeah, we got the Neapolitans to reinforce us. Thanks Schnappledorp, otherwise I would have had no more ships here. All right, so let's get this peace deal going. We can take Venice, we can take Ravenna. That is going to be 3 nations in a coalition. That is surprisingly few amount of nations in a coalition. How about if we take Padova also? That's going to include Ferrara and Lucca, but if we wait for 2 months, we might be able to get rid of Ferrara and Lucca, so we can take Padova as well if we do this on the 1st of January. And as I was saying, look at that, only 3 nations in that coalition, and we got all the other stuff that we need, including the money. 380 ducats is really going to help us out so much, because it's essentially. We can pay off all of the loans that we have with that. There you go. Now we got no loans. We got extra money lying around. We have the Venetian city, which is a level 2 center of trade. It is a lot of development in the city as well, and it's just going to boost our economy massively. We took back Ravenna, our ancestral holding, let's call it, really. And let's actually add all of this to the HRE as well. Let's bring our boys back. Next target is going to be Florence, which also ate Bologna, so they're making our life a little bit easier, to be fair. And by growing so much, we also managed to keep the Neapolitans a little bit more in check. I'm going to use my prestige to lower their liberty desire to a little bit more, and I can lower that liberty desire even more by attacking and bringing them back their Sicilian holdings. I will be able to get the Castilians and the Swiss in this war, and it looks like Florence is actually in this war too. Okay, fair enough. So we can, well, that makes things a little bit complicated because I was going to do a separate war for Florence, but I guess I can do Florence and the Aragonese in the same war. Yeah, you know what, that's fine. Let's bring our boys back so we can get ready for this war. Oh boys, it's time to make a decision. We have to either stay within the empire or we have to leave. Take note, if we do decide to stay within the empire, which we will, of course, we're losing the 20 prestige. It's a-okay. We have to be allied to the emperor. Otherwise, if we're not allied to the emperor, we get these penalties here since we are an Italian nation and we're still a part of the empire, and we don't want these penalties. So if we ever decide to cancel the alliance with the emperor, we should also pretty much leave the HRE. Looks like we're actually the only HRE nation left in the Italian peninsula. Holy snaps, everybody left, dude. What? Damn. All right, well, it is what it is. Time to get my word going with the Aragonese then, boys. Gonna be making Messina the war target, and Letzaguchi. Gonna bring these fleet out so we actually can cross over to Messina and siege it down, since that's our war target. And we're also gonna be going around here. Let's make sure our vassals help us out whenever they do become loyal, which is not that far off. I just need to placate them a little bit more. That means I gotta do, I need to get some burgher loyalty. But hey, on the bright side, we have the amazing Castilians helping us out. They should have a fairly decent army. And we did manage to cross on over to Messina. So once we have the fort of Messina sieged down and we took over the rest of the Sicilian lands, we have the war score we need to enforce our demands. Obviously, I want to give back these lands to my vassal. But aside from that, I also kind of want to take the Sardinian parts for myself. And it's not too much aggressive expansion. It's actually super doable. This way, we have basically 66% of the Italian peninsula. We just need the northern bits left here, and that's it. We've unified Italy within just the first 50 years, give or take, I guess. It really pays off so much being the Korea controller because of that aggressive expansion reduction. Ah, the great famous Sacca Firenze that gave us 5% professionalism. What's going on here? Burgundian inheritance, junior member of Austria fighting the French. Well, I guess the French did not declare the war yet. Let's see if that happens or not. And we just got most of the Florentine parts under control, so that means we can enforce our peace deal here, boys. This looks fairly good to me. Humiliation, trade power, war reparations, and that is Glutenstein. I didn't take too much, didn't care too much about the money because obviously the main goal is not the money, it's the trade power that we're getting, since money would have to be split with the Castilians. We don't really want to split the money with anyone, do we now? Once more, I'm gonna mainly be going for the trade that I can get from Genoa. Never mind, just realized Genoa has its own trade company, so I mean trade league, so I cannot get their trade. I can get their trade league members trade, which is nothing I'm interested in. Or maybe the Sienese. Nah, I'm getting war reparations. Screw this, man. I'm taking the war reps. I wouldn't mind taking this for myself though, but that just seems like too much aggressive expansion for no reason. I might just really, yeah, you know what, I'll do that. I'll release I'm gonna release Corsica. There you go, boys. We got an extra Schnippeldorp in the Italian peninsula now, the Schnippeldorp of Corsica, which we can diplo-vassalize. And we seem to have a lot of war score on the Aragonese because we got their capital via our amazing Castilian allies. So let's see what we can do with this war. I guess we can take all of this. Let's do it like this so we lose out on too much. There you go. 8 aggressive expansion and we take all of Sicily. That's just massive. And let's see how much it would cost us for this. We are getting a coalition of, actually there's a few nations in the Italian peninsula, almost all the nations in the Italian peninsula, but I'm fairly certain I can deal with them. I really don't think I'm gonna struggle too much with these nations. Can I get war reps? No, I cannot get war reps. If I get this, I would get how much money? 63 ducats. Screw it, boys. Let's go. Let's freaking go. There you go, guys. We have 66% of the Italian peninsula in just the first 19 years. That is just massive, brain, and probably one of my luckiest campaigns so far. I will make this save game available on my Patreon and for my channel members, and also consider subscribing. Would really mean the world to me, as I'd love to reach that 170,000 sub goal by the end of April. And until the next time, check out this awesome Brandenburg run. And I want to give a massive thank you to all of my patrons, channel members, and Twitch subscribers. I would not be able to do this without all your support.